Now, the last thing that we got to talk about, you guys are playing the Buffalo Bills on Thanksgiving. You guys play on Thanksgiving every single year.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at this game, Buffalo most definitely is one of the best teams in the NFL. However, they do have moments where they beat themselves, and they do have moments where they can play down the competition. A good example, last year they had like a surprising loss to Jacksonville. And even this season, there's games where Josh Allen can get hell of reckless, or Buffalo can get hell of over relying on Josh Allen, and he could kind of cost them some games. So, I mean, for many people watching this, what's the path to the upset for the Detroit Lions? Because, I mean, it's easy to say that the Lions aren't going to win, but it's even harder for somebody to come up with ways that the Lions can win this game. So what are some things that you think that the Lions can do to find a way to pull off this upset on Thanksgiving?
The first thing is create the mismatch where it's running back to linebacker. I think if you can get DeAndre Swift working in space, whether it's screen or route running, get him working in space. You can't do that with Jamal Williams as much because we've already seen that they are not as quick and shifty to get around. But on top of that, you have to be able to get them off balance and off tilter. That D line is going to do it. So our offensive line has to hold up in the run game. It has to maintain discipline and make sure that they're playing disciplined football. I think on the other hand, in terms of how would I go about attacking this game, honestly, it's running the ball because I want to keep them off the field as much as possible, but you got to score in scoring opportunities. So if you get turnovers, you need to score on turnovers. We had a few turnovers in the game the other day. We didn't score on all of those. We need to have points on all those turnovers. And on the defensive side of the ball, you have to remain 100% disciplined and shutting down Singletary. Because everybody goes, well, what about the receivers? And what about Stefon Diggs? And what about this? And he can run, and he's a running quarterback. Yeah, Josh Allen's not really looking to run. And so if you maintain gap assignment, if you maintain discipline when it comes to slowing their running back down, Josh Allen will get the big head and start trying to force passes in there. And that's where you got to add your secondary to make plays. You're going to have to be a little bit more savvy in how to set them up. Because at this point, I don't think I'm going to ask our defense to ever stop somebody per se, but I need you to slow them down. And if they can do that, I think the Lions can win. You shorten the game up, you put points up quick, which forces them to go into panic mode, as you saw recently where they had to come back at the last minute and get the touchdown. Put them in that panic mode. And if you do that, I think you can win the game.
Now, the Bills have a lot of players on the injury report. Now, some key guys who are questionable. Josh Allen has an elbow injury. He has a right elbow injury. It's uncertain if he's going to take place or play in this Week 12 game. And then you have Tre'Davious White, who recently got activated off injury reserve. He could play in this game, but it's uncertain that he will, or unlikely that he will. So for Buffalo, like, Josh Allen is banged up. And what you said, I definitely agree with. A lot of people have said that the Bills overly rely on Josh Allen. And last week, they definitely did give Devin Singletary a good amount of work. And you can definitely tell that they're trying to take some of the load off Josh Allen. So if Detroit goes in and they have a good time shutting down the run, like how they did against the New York Giants, the secondary, now they're going to have to be able to do their job against these wide receivers, Gabe Davis, Stefon Diggs, the tight ends. What do you have the faith in the secondary being able to get the job done, or do you think it's going to be more of a collective effort of the pass rush being there, helping out that secondary as well?
I think it starts with that front seven, right? Because if you're not able to put pressure on a quarterback, you got a problem. Right, I don't care who it is. Right, I can let JT sit back there in the pocket and survey the field. I'm pretty sure you can deliver a ball to somebody accurately, right? And so at that point, if you're not getting pressure or maintaining gap assignment to where he doesn't have running lanes, it's going to be a long day. And the linebackers need to make sure that they're covering their areas and maintaining their guys that they're going to be covering, so that they're not allowing for him to get going with goddamn people like Dawson and stuff, like Dawson Knox and stuff. They'll need him to get going. They don't need for him to run back to get going, because once he started hitting you up short, now he can go deep. And what you really want him to do is you want to force him to keep everything short and in front of you. So I expect to see some zone play more than we played this past game. I think the last game we played a lot of man, but this game, I think we should be playing some zone and keeping stuff in front of us and letting it come to us. Now, like I said, Okudah being out is going to definitely hurt. However, I think that this is going to be a game where we start to find it, and it's really going to come down to two players. You need two players to really step up for you. The player number one is your second overall pick in Aiden Hutchinson, and player number two is whoever the hell is playing linebacker, because they are going to be put to the test early on by running backs and tight ends. And I think that's where it's going to come down to, that front seven.
Now, offensively, okay, the Bills have a really talented defense, and their defensive line is insanely talented with a lot of youth. But you look at your offensive line has been amongst the best in the NFL this year. How do you think you guys are going to hold up in the trenches with, some health concerns about, the availability of Frank Ragnow, Jonah Jackson? Both of those guys on the offensive line are listed as questionable. Frank Ragnow has a foot injury, and Jonah Jackson has illness.
No, they'll play. I have no doubt that those guys will play. And, those guys are going to play. You know why? It's a Thanksgiving game, right? And they know the importance of that game, and they know what that means to get that win. I think they'll handle the pressure really well. Because to me, when I watch the Bills lately, it doesn't seem like their D line is doing as much against decent offensive line. Not good, decent offensive line. It don't seem like they're doing as much, and they start to create these damn blitz packages that kind of confuse the linemen. But I think the Lions line will hold up well, and I think we wouldn't have no problem with it. This is one of them games where if you allow their D line to win the line of scrimmage, then it's going to be a long day. But I don't see that happening. So off rip, I feel confident in saying, yeah, we got a chance to really change some things. And I suspected that we will do it. I'm not worried about us not having certain players in. They'll play.
Now, you guys are a 9-point underdog heading into this matchup.
Perfect.
I don't know. I don't expect you guys to go into that game and lie down, because, you guys have played pretty well, and, you guys play pretty hard for Dan Campbell. So I definitely expect this to be a dogfight. I'm still going to take Buffalo to get the win. I'm pretty sure you probably see Buffalo getting this win too. But, I definitely feel like for the Lions, you want to see this team hang around. You want to see them compete. And I definitely think they should be more than capable of being able to do that. And if Buffalo allows Detroit to hang around in this game in the fourth quarter, and Buffalo gets in the habit of playing around with their food, I definitely think that Detroit is more than capable of being able to get the win done, because I'm the kind of person that if I'm playing the Lions, I want to blow them out. I don't want to be going into a one-possession game with them in the fourth quarter. Especially with Dan Campbell as the head coach, because he's one of them head coaches that lay in them games. You call timeout 2 minutes, this guy's giving you one of the most legendary pep talks. You come down third and long and here Aiden Hutchinson comes.
Or just take it a step further, where it's like the Lions have been known to take risks that other teams have not. And it's one of the reasons why fans hate the head coach for him. But I love the fourth down. And shit, go for it. You got 4 opportunities. Who says you have to punt? Now, if you're pinting by your red zone, cool. But when a lot of times when he's going for it for fourth down, he's not on our side of the field. So, go for it, right? Like, I'm not being, I know let's try to punt and pin him on the inside. That's nice if you can do it, but it's still the same possession. So just go for it. You know what I mean? So I'm okay with it. I just think that for me, the Lions need to not get caught up in the fact that this is a Thanksgiving game, but this is a game about respect, because I think it's been some disrespect going on, especially given the fact that we loaned our stadium so they can play a game, and they post a video, we're gonna leave our plaque right here because we'll be back home to take care of things on Thursday. Oh, we talking slick. So we talking slick. Okay. So since that's the case, yeah, I'm on that Gatorade commercial or was it Under Armour? We must protect our house stuff, right? You wanna come in and talk slick. Even if you walk up out of here, you're gonna walk up out of here bloody and beat, right? Like you may win the battle, but we will win the war because you're gonna lose somebody. And when you watch the games that the Lions have had over recent time, they have been knocking players out. I mean, go to the Packers game. They knocked a lot of people out. And then you go to the game against the Giants, they were knocking people out in that game.
Right? The one dude on the Giants offense that was killing y'all that nobody could stop. That's the one person on the Giants offense y'all couldn't stop was Wan'Dale Robinson until y'all took him out the game.
Like I said, you're gonna show up to the party, but just know that you're gonna leave out with a bloody nose too. So it's not, so to me, they need to just learn how to protect their house and get ready for the game and just come into it and say, look, they already been disrespectful. This is about pride. Let's show them what we are.
Yeah. And, about Dan Campbell, like, that's why I was so hesitant earlier. I said about, making that video, the Lions aren't going nowhere because, like, despite losing, I was listening to the post-game press conferences from the players. Like, everybody still had like hella belief in Dan Campbell, despite what the record shows. So, I mean, like, you talk about going to war. The Lions definitely are a team that is more than ready to go to war with you. And especially when you got the coach that's talking about biting kneecaps, like, for Buffalo,
yeah, but that don't mean that. Those are metaphors that I think people focus on too much. The whole kneecap biting on those are metaphors. That's, in other words, it's basically saying like okay, for example, Mike Tyson has a famous quote that everyone has a plan until you punch him in the mouth, right? Like that's just a famous quote to let you know it's all sound good. Everything is cool until everything is not going the way you want to. And how you respond in adversity determines your character. How you decide to rise up when everybody is doubting you and everyone is challenging you to be something that you were not. You wasn't here for this history. Many of the players on the Lions wasn't here for the history of being a losing team. They don't know about that history. They never experienced that. And so to me, I feel like a lot of times we as content creators, the media and everybody else, they overblow the kneecap biting. The whole purpose of him saying that was to sit there and say that, like I said, you're not going to just come in here and just beat us. You're going to earn it. And right now, the only game where you can say that they didn't really show up in was New England. They should have beat the Eagles. They should have definitely beat the Eagles. They should have beat the Vikings. It took a last-minute play for them to lose.
And the Dolphins.
Right? And the Dolphins, and so forth and so on. You can go through and look at it. But the reality is when those guys came into those games, when they walked out like with respect. You remember, I don't know if you're on, I mean, I'm a little bit older, but I don't know if you remember a movie called The Karate Kid, when Daniel-san had that one leg up and he ran up and got kicked in the face. Afterwards, he gave him much respect, right? He, you know what I'm saying? Not because he won, because he understood. Okay, he was competitive. He was not just going to lay down to me. He showed up, and so to me, people overblow that stuff, right? The same way they overblow a lot of the other stuff, like playoffs. Are you kidding me? Don't talk to me about playoffs. Or when Dennis Green got mad and was like, they are who we thought they were, and we let him off the hook because he really wanted to use other words. People just overblow these quotes, and like the Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. And it's so many quotes you can get from the NFL where people want to make fun of it and joke about it, right? But if you ever listen to John Madden, the great John Madden, on any video, he would say the strangest stuff, boop, beep, brr, all this other stuff, and nobody talked about it. So I just think that when looking at Dan Campbell and his example, people need to calm the hell down. Is he coaching the team enough to get their attention? And the answer is yes.
And I think that's really what I get from the body kneecap comments. Like, I just really like how the team really embodies that metaphor in a sense. Like, to me, that quote signifies a team that, like what you said, bro, you're not going to come in here and you ain't going to push us around. And that's why I have confidence in, Detroit being able to keep this a competitive game. So when it comes to predictions, I'm going to take the Detroit Lions to lose, but I do think that they are going to cover. So give me the Bills outright. Give me the Lions to cover. What about you? Who's your prediction in this game?
I think the Bills win this game. But I think it's closer than people think. I think it's much closer than people think. And I don't do point spreads and stuff like that because I'm not that big in gambling and stuff like that. But I think that the Lions have a chance to win this game. And no matter how small it may be, to some people, it's still a chance. Because nobody gave them a chance against the Giants, and they did it, a fraudulent team. Nobody gave them a chance against the Packers, and they completely dominated them. And I remember last year, nobody gave them a single chance against the Cardinals, and they just single-handedly disrupted the Cardinal spirit, and they haven't been right since then. So they have a chance, but I think the Bills sneak this one out because I just feel like them coming off of that game, although I will say it benefited us to come out and dominate the Giants like that and make it look easy, even though it was not. That helps way more, but it's a short week, and that's the only reason why I'm picking the Bills. It's a short week. If we got to play the Bills the following week after Thanksgiving, I would pick the Lions to win against the Bills. But coming off of a Sunday game, you got a Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday is your last day before you go into it. That's a little tough.